Viral style title. There's a moment, maybe you know it, where something happens and your whole body ignites. Your heart rate spikes. Your jaw tightens. And everything in you wants to respond. Right now? Immediately. Most people do. And that's exactly why most people keep losing. Here's something nobody tells you when you're young. The loudest person in the room almost never wins. Not in relationships. Not at work. Not in negotiations. Not even in arguments. Because there's a difference between responding and reacting, and most people have never been taught what that difference actually costs them. A reaction is automatic. It's your nervous system speaking before your brain has caught up. It's the email you sent at midnight. The words you said that you can't take back. The decision you made in anger that took 3 months to undo. A response, though? A response is something else entirely. And here's the thing. The people who've mastered this skill don't look like monks. They don't float through life untouched. They feel everything you feel. Sometimes more. They've just learned something about the space between stimulus and response that most people never discover. We're going to talk about what's actually happening in your brain when you lose control, because it's not a character flaw. It's biology. And then we're going to talk about how to rewire it. In the 1990s, psychologist Daniel Goleman introduced the concept of the amygdala hijack. Your amygdala, a small almond-shaped structure deep inside your brain, is essentially a smoke detector. Its entire job is to scan for threat, and when it senses danger, real or perceived, it fires. Fast. Faster than your prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for logic, consequence, and self-control, can even get a word in. So when someone cuts you off in traffic, when your boss dismisses you in front of the whole team, when a message comes through at the worst possible moment, it's not you losing control. It's your smoke detector pulling the fire alarm for a toaster. Beat. But here's what nobody tells you next. That system was built for physical threats. A predator. A cliff edge. An attacker in the dark. It was not built for a passive-aggressive comment in a Slack thread. And yet your body responds the same way. Full cortisol surge. Heart rate up. Tunnel vision. Reactive mode activated. The people who seem unshakable? They've learned to recognize the alarm before it takes over. And that gap, that tiny moment between the trigger and the reaction, that's where everything lives. Think about the last time you reacted instead of responded. Not the biggest moment of your life. Something small. Someone said something dismissive. You snapped back. Or maybe you shut down completely. Pulled away. Went cold. And afterwards, whether it lasted 5 minutes or 5 days, there was that quiet voice. Why did I do that? Because here's what your reaction actually communicated. Not what you said. Not your point. Not even your emotion. It communicated that they had power over you. That's the thing. Every uncontrolled reaction is, at its core, a transfer of power. You are telling the other person, you can move me whenever you want. And once people know that lever exists, they use it. This isn't cynical. It's just how human dynamics work. We read each other constantly. We calibrate. We file away what works. But the flip side is real too. When someone can't get a reaction out of you, when you stay grounded while they escalate, something shifts. The energy changes. And almost always, the power does too. So how do you actually do this? Not as a theory, as a practice. The first thing is deceptively simple. You learn to locate the sensation before you locate the meaning. When someone says something that triggers you, your body responds first. There's a physical experience, chest tightening, heat behind the eyes, a shift in your breathing. Most people jump immediately to meaning-making. What did they mean? Why did they do that? What do I say now? Instead, and this takes practice, you pause long enough to feel the physical sensation without immediately narrating it. You just notice it. Like watching weather. That single shift interrupts the hijack. Not always, but often enough to matter. The second technique is learning to treat silence as speech. Most people are deeply uncomfortable with pauses, especially under pressure. So they fill them. They over-explain. They defend. They escalate. You don't have to. A long pause, measured, deliberate, not hostile, carries enormous weight. It signals that you are not rattled, that you're thinking, that you cannot be rushed into a position you haven't chosen. Try it in your next high-stakes conversation. Just wait 3 seconds longer than feels comfortable. Watch what happens. Third, stop rehearsing your response while someone is still talking. This is almost universal. Someone says something, and half your brain immediately starts drafting a reply while the other half pretends to listen. And people can feel that. They don't know what to call it, but they feel the absence of real presence. When you actually listen, fully, without agenda, two things happen. You gather far more information than you would have. And you appear extraordinarily calm. Because you are. Real listening is a form of emotional control that most people never practice. Breath, let it land. And fourth, the one that separates the truly unshakable from everyone else. You have to become genuinely unattached to how you look in a given moment. The need to defend yourself immediately. To correct the record. To not look weak. To be right now. That urgency. That's ego. And the moment you're fighting for your ego, you've already lost your composure. The most powerful thing you can say in certain moments is nothing at all. Or simply, I'll think about that. And then actually think about it. Here's what this really comes down to. Reacting quickly feels powerful. It feels decisive. It feels like you're in control because you're doing something. But it's almost always the opposite. The person who reacts is being moved. By someone else's words. By an old wound. By a story their nervous system has been running on autopilot since they were 12 years old. The person who responds has created a space, however brief, between the world and themselves. And in that space, they get to choose. Viktor Frankl wrote about this from inside a Nazi concentration camp. He said the last of human freedoms is the ability to choose your response to any given circumstance. That wasn't philosophy for him. That was survival. And obviously, your bad day at the office is not a concentration camp. But the principle is the same. You are not obligated to perform your emotions on demand for anyone. You are allowed to feel everything and show what you choose. That's not suppression. That's not coldness. That's sovereignty. The goal isn't to become someone who doesn't feel things. The goal is to become someone whose feelings don't run the show. Because there's a version of you that's already calmer, more deliberate, harder to shake, who makes better decisions under pressure, who people find deeply trustworthy, who can walk into difficult rooms and leave them changed. That version isn't built by some overnight transformation. It's built one pause at a time. Start with the next conversation. The next moment where you feel the surge. Don't perform calm. Just wait. See what's there.